Viveck Vaswani, actor, director, producer, and dean, School of Contemporary Media, Pearl Academy. Now, for the last decade, Mr. Viveck Vaswani has turned to academics. Many of you would remember him from the TV series Khandan, as well as the movies that he has made. But for the last decade, he has turned towards academics and has decided to share his wealth of knowledge with keen learners. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar, Mr. Vaswani.
Thank you, Anisha. I'm very happy to be here.
Mr. Vaswani, we are very glad to have you with us because you have been working with students for so long. You understand them so well. And at this point in time, many students are going through a big indecision, through anxious times, because of COVID, we've seen so many exams getting postponed. We saw what happened with the board exams at CBSE and ICSE. Just now we came to know that IIT-G and even NEET exams will get delayed. They'll happen perhaps later in the year. Now, for someone who has been working for the last couple of years with a goal in mind that I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to go to the top engineering school. Suddenly you're like, what's happening? I mean, should I study? Should I take a break? Should I enjoy? What happens? It looks like everything is getting delayed. Who knows whether these exams will happen? Will this entire year go? So, how do students who are feeling so hemmed in this entire webinar, we're going to talk about how to focus on your career goals in COVID times. But when you're feeling so much anxiety and fear, doesn't your judgment get somewhat clouded? How does this impact the focus students have because of so many postponements?
So I must tell you from my personal experience. In November last year, Nandita Abraham, who's the president of Pearl Academy, called up and said, Viveck, I want to talk to you. I said, of course. Very nice person, very positive. She radiates energy. And she said, I want you to be the dean of the School of Contemporary Media. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't even know what the word dean means. I don't know. And I'm not an academician. I don't have multiple degrees and doctorates to my name. And I'm technologically challenged. Even if you put a computer in front of me, I won't know what to do with it. She said, that's okay. A lot of subjects require to be taught as professions, not as subjects. And you have a lot of compassion with children because we've seen you doing guest lectures. So take the plunge. Now, it's very easy for you kids, you students. You guys were born with Google in your head and you guys were born with smartphones in your hands. You guys at the age of 5, 6, 7, and 8 knew far more than Anisha and me know even now. You guys are millionaires. Can you imagine a man who was nearing 60, changing his profession, not knowing even how to use a computer? I mean, I used to stick with my internet and I used to be able to do my social media and send out mails, but nothing more. Taking on the huge responsibility of being dean. And I coped with that somehow. I used to go and I used to meet students, I used to meet the parents, I talked to my faculty. I sorted everything out. But in the 4th month, suddenly this whole COVID and lockdown happened. And suddenly I found that by being technologically challenged, I would have lost my job and my life. So like it or not, my fears, my anxieties, what to do, how to do, had to take the back seat towards sitting and focusing and saying, I will not fail. Now, I had to do that 45 years ago when I started working. So let me tell you a little story. When I was 5 years old, my parents took me to the Regal Cinema. I didn't want to go. And they took me because I was 5 and it was fantastic. I went and I saw this huge cinema and I saw The Sound of Music and there were people singing and I didn't want to come out. So when I was 5, I told my father, I said, Dad, I'm going to be an actor and a filmmaker. And he said, that's wonderful. And he told everyone, see, my son, he's only 5 and he's already decided he's going to be a filmmaker and an actor and so on and so forth. When I was 18, I told him the same thing. He said, are you out of your mind? What kind of a profession is this? Are you stupid? I said, but Dad, when I was 5, you told me. He said, but you were 5. Now you're 18. Now you should know better. So I had to sit him down and say, Dad, you go to the doctor only 4 times a year. But for you, that's a profession. You go to the cinema 50 times a year. And that's not a
That's
profession. Why? And from that point, my journey and mehnat started. I came from a family that didn't even know films or watch films. I came from a family which did not really support these ambitions, but at least my father was gracious enough to say, okay, give him a chance, and everyone else sort of tolerated it. But getting onto a train, going into the suburbs where the film industry was, trying to figure out who does what in the industry, I was playing blind man's buff, and I realized what I realize now when this COVID thing and the lockdown happened. Success does not come easy. It comes very, very tough, and there is a formula. So let us understand in the context of what you've asked. Right now, all of us are confused because we don't know the future. Correct? But when
Yes.
there was no COVID and we were all going to school and college and doing our exams, we still didn't know the future. We still didn't know whether we were going to succeed, whether we were going to fail, whether we were going to do good, whether we were going to be able to do our entrance exams, whether we were going to be successful, whether we were not going to be successful. We
But Mr.
still,
Vaswani, we had a routine. We knew we'll wake up, we'll go to school, we'll do
now
our
we come
schooling, come
back
back,
on the
we'll
laptop.
go
Yes.
to.
So,
But now we don't, that uncertainty is there because
no, it's
I'm
the other way
studying for my
around.
exam.
When you had the routine, you misused it. You knew you had to wake up. You knew mommy and daddy will give you breakfast. You knew you had to go to school or college. You knew when to bunk, when to see a movie with your girlfriend, when to go and sneak a beer without anyone knowing. Coming home at 12 in the night, you knew what to do and you didn't do it. That should have given you the biggest insecurity of your life. But you were not. Now, because there is no beer, there is no friends, there's no going out, you're at home, you have a laptop. On the contrary, this is the most golden opportunity to say, hey, this is a golden opportunity to straighten out my life. Now, of course, there will be problems. Life without problems is not life. You know, there will always be anxiety. There will always be parental pressure. There will always be family pressure. If you're a girl and you're doing engineering, there will be a grandmother who says, what is the, why? Why can't she just get married like all of us used to? You will have that kind of pressure. There will be money pressure because, you know, a lot of people have lost jobs. And even in the old days, so there was always pressure. But we covered up the pressure with our general day-to-day life because we could meet people face to face. Here we are facing it in front of us. We don't like what we are seeing. The insecurities which were hidden are coming into the forefront, but they need not. At
Oh.
worst, what will happen? At your age, at worst, what will happen? You lose a year. In today's day and age, I know so many students across the world who are taking gap years only so that they can assimilate what they require apart from academics to become successful. Apart from academics to become successful. A lot of you can do that now if you choose. I would not endorse it because we've already crossed 4 months and we are now seeing the beginning of the end or
Okay.
the end of the beginning.
So
Either
then
way,
what do we do? If I had a goal and, this period came like these 4 months where I didn't know, when things are going to start, I have a goal, but should I work towards it right now or should I work towards it 2 weeks later? Let me have a little easy. How do I schedule a timetable? You said you got the entire day for yourself now. All those,
let me tell you what
distractions are gone.
let me tell you
So
what
how do I work it out?
paper and pencil. I know these are very obsolete things for students, but paper and pencil has solved every problem in the world. It's called muscle memory. Sit with yourself. Step one. Whatever problems you have, bad internet, no privacy, parents fighting in the next room, grandmother sick and you have to sit only at her window because that's where you get the best network, siblings fighting over the internet or over the same computer. Believe you me, these are not problems. Not getting food for a week is a problem. Not having drinking water for a month is a problem. Not knowing what is going to happen to your friends who are in a different city and fighting COVID is a problem. Having to walk from Bombay to Uttar Pradesh is a problem. Not having the internet is not a problem. It's a hiccup. So if you immediately start treating this whole COVID chapter as a comma, not as a full stop in your head, automatically the perspective will change. At best, you will succeed. At worst, it will be a gap year. But all of you who are sitting here today on the top lucky 1% of the entire world, you all have food on the table, you have a roof, you have parents, you
And
have
internet.
you have your smartphones, you have your laptops, you have every blessing in the universe. Being insecure today is completely wrong. I think the first thing we do is sit down and say, thank God. So I'll tell you what I did then. When I didn't know about career, future, I didn't even know how to prepare to be in films. I took paper and pencil. The first thing I did was I made a list of the problems. So translating that, you make a list. This is the problem. Internet is a problem. Brother fighting with me is a problem. Sister crying is a problem. Parents not having enough money is a problem. Make a list of the problems. Each one of you will have different problems. So each one makes an independent list. Then you make a list of your weaknesses and be honest with yourself. I'm actually lazy. I could get up at 7 and do yoga, but actually I get up at 9 and I crib and complain and grumble. Make a list of your weaknesses, and these are the weaknesses that will be problems, not these superficial problems. Then on the next page, make a list of your strengths, whatever your strengths are. I'm good, I'm imaginative, I have a critical thinking mind, I am very good with my academics because I have a photographic memory, or I'm very bad. Make your list. And then make a list of your blessings. My father and mother are alive. I have a roof. I have food. I have drinking water. 25 locusts didn't come and eat me up, though they were outside my window. Whatever it is. So you will have 4 lists. One list will be your strengths. One list will be your weakness. One list will be your problems. One list will be your blessings. But the moment it is organized on paper for you, things, your entire life will come into perspective. When you have this in front of you, you go to the next page and say, this is the plan. And this is not the plan for COVID. This is the plan for the next 20 years. You're not studying medicine because you want to be a doctor. You're studying medicine because you want to be a successful doctor. You're not studying because you want to be an engineer. You're studying because you want to be a successful engineer. You're not doing your academics because this is something that I'll do time pass and I'll get married to a rich guy. No, you're doing it because you want to be career oriented, and you want to not just be in a career, you want to be in a successful career. You just haven't thought of it in that perspective. Now, when you want to have a successful career, you have to figure it out for yourself. Your parents, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, your aunts, even your teachers and mentors can't do anything about it because it's your future, your career, your income, your success, your prestige, your name, it's about you. So once you know these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is what I should do, these are my problems, but these are my blessings. Now this is my goal. I want to be in this position in 2030. Therefore, I want to be in this position in 2029. Therefore, I want to be in this position in 2025. Therefore, I want to be in this position, this. So not just your academics, but your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, the health of your parents, the fact that you will have to finally be the breadwinner, or maybe not. Each one is different. You're going to marry, you're not. Figure it out on paper.
So you're saying work it backwards.
Work
Look
backwards,
ahead
always.
and work it backwards.
Yeah. And then after you have worked backwards, you will find going forwards very, 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 very easy. Seriously, very easy. Because the moment you know that, hey, in this time I'm going to do this, this is the degree, this is the post-graduation degree, this will be an internship, and these are the 20 companies I choose to work with for internships, or I'm going to join my father's firm, or I'm going to look for a job in this. But These are my alternates that I can also choose. And though apart from engineering, I also paint, I've neglected that. I must tell you that all of you must understand everything has to be rounded. For people like you and me who have computers, laptops, parents, and education, the COVID can only be a wake up call to becoming even more successful in the future. There is no need to be anxious about what's going to happen in the next 3 months. It's a little blip, it's a little hiccup, it's a little comma, considering that you have the next 60 years to think of. So if you sit and
But
focus on the next 3 months, oh my God, what can I do? I don't know. Will I have exam? You'll never be able to cope with the real problems in life. You all are going to face problems when you get your degree, and there will be nepotism, there will be politics in the workplace, you guys will be stabbed in the back, you guys will lose your jobs, you will have problems with your wives, there will be real problems. So only when you work on paper and write everything down will you be able to understand the difference between what is a real problem and what is a temporary or imagined problem.
mhm.
And that problem may be real. I mean, there's three siblings all sharing one room, and there's only one computer, and everyone has classes at different times. These are issues. They are not life and death problems. Trust me. If everyone sits together and says, okay, this is the way we will handle it, this is the way we will manage it, this is the way we will pool our resources and buy one more laptop, even though it's a basic and a very simple lab. If you want, so rule number one, if you want to solve a problem, you can solve it. There is no way that a problem is not solved if you want to solve it. What do? We have a headache and we go to the doctor and say, my knee is paining. So the real problem is something else. The imaginary problem is something else. We make that imaginary problem into the real problem because we don't want to face the real problem.
Not only do we not want to face the problem, sometimes we feel it's just easier being lazy, and think about it some other time. I
Think
have
about it
3 more
tomorrow.
months.
Exactly. So
So,
now
but isn't it important to focus now? If
it's
you
very
have this 3 months, it's a blessing. You should maximize it. So, like you said, work it backwards.
yeah. You
Backwards.
could choose to use this to make your lists and notes. You could choose to use this. If
Pen
you
and
use
paper.
this, you'll get muscle memory. You'll never forget in your life. You will never, 40 years later, forget. But if you're pressing buttons, there's no muscle memory. It's not going from your brain to your finger, from your finger into paper, from your paper back into your brain. You're not creating the cycle. Trust me, I know we were born when there was no internet and no phones, and some of us were born when there was no electricity in 3/4 of India. But it worked then.
Mm.
I am saying all you have to do is clear the clutter from your head, make your list. These are my real problems. These are my weaknesses. Understand the
Mm.
difference. These are my blessings and these are my strengths. All equal. Each one of us will have some
Mm.
problems and some blessings. Each one of us will have some strengths and some weaknesses, but organize yourself and say, this is what it is. Now, after that, you've prepared your timetable until 2030 and say, this is where I want to go. And this is not where I want to go if you've not put the word success. All your life, you said, I want to be an engineer. You've never said, I want to be a successful engineer. All your life, you said, I want to be a doctor. You've never said, I want to be the best doctor in the world. And if you have, then you haven't written it down. Understand what success means. It doesn't matter. So we come to, as I said, the rule number one, which is the most important rule, which I just told you. The rule number two, of course, is paper and pencil. The rule number three is that everything in life has to translate into knowledge. I had to get knowledge of computer. I had to get where today, I mean, I came on to this webinar with 10 minutes of practice and I hadn't even thought of what I was going to say because I knew that I had clarity in my head. And clarity is a very important thing. And where there is clarity, where there is knowledge, and where there is a list, it sounds very strange, there will be no fear, there will be no anxiousness, there will be no depression. There will be real problems. So if your mother is in hospital dying, it's a real problem. There's no fear, anxiety, or depression. There's sadness. There's hurt. There's anguish. But there's no fear. Because you know what. Fear comes when you don't know what. Now, all of us are facing insecurities about what's going to happen next month. Will I get? What will I be prepared? Will I not be prepared? But you're looking at it like this. If you start looking at it like this and say, okay, worst comes to worst, what will happen? Worst come towards exactly what I'll take a gap year, I'll be ready next year, or I won't be prepared enough, or I'll be over prepared. But you must understand that all of us today, all of us, and especially you guys, are multitaskers. I am an actor, a producer, a writer, a director, a journalist, a researcher, a consultant, a teacher, and a dean. I am straddling 9 professions simultaneously. Now, hear me very carefully. Each one of you has this. It's called eyes. When you watch television, your eye has already learned how to multitask. It is watching the news. It is reading something else, which is streaming at the screen at the bottom. It is taking in the time, which is in the left-hand corner. It is taking in the name of the channel, which is on the right-hand corner. It is taking the stock market figures, which are in another corner. It is getting some news flash, which is on 7 things are happening on that screen at the same time. And your eye is completely comfortable handling all those 7 things. When you go to the movies, there's only one thing on the screen, the movie. But by now, your eye is a multitasker. All of you are watching the movie with one eye and one part of your brain, and you're on social media, on the phone, WhatsApping, talking, chatting, being on Facebook, being on Twitter, being on Instagram while the movie is going on, and you're handling both comfortably. In the process of evolution, all of us have automatically become multitaskers. So I know today in my Cuff Parade, which is 40 skyscrapers, a whole bunch of doctors have suddenly become home chefs. They are cooking up a storm. They're putting little posters on their social media groups, on their WhatsApp groups, on Instagram, and they're selling food. There are those who know how to stitch. They're saying, we're sitting at home. You need things stitched, send them to us, we'll stitch. Each one of them has found an alternate profession to whatever they do in the lockdown. They're earning extra money, they're fulfilled, and they're doing stuff. Now,
right. Vivek, we've already started getting some questions as well. Now you've given us a game plan about these 4 things that we must write on and start working backwards with, of course, a goal that we want to be successful at what we're doing. But we have a question coming in from Rajendra Dadij. He says, "I'm technology friendly, but I feel I get distracted. How do you save yourself from distraction?" You said you spoke about multitasking, but I know that my goal is this. I should study. I should do 1, 2, 3 to get there. At the same time, I have WhatsApp. I have friends. I have this. So even though I'm multitasking, am I lagging behind because I'm distracted? So he's saying, how do I save myself from distraction?
Right. It's completely logical. I used to hate physics, chemistry, mathematics in school. I chose acting as a profession so that I could remain away from physics, chemistry, and mathematics all my life. And the moment I started studying physics, within 6 minutes, I was humming a song or listening to the radio. Those days, that's what we had. Or already planning over the weekend which movie I would see. It's completely logical. It is logical. It happens to everyone. So the first thing is, every human being in the world is distracted. You're not the only one. You're not the first. You won't be the last. I get distracted. Right now, while I'm doing this webinar, I'm already thinking what I should cook for dinner. So you are used to multitasking. But if being distracted is one of your weaknesses, then when you put it down on paper and you say, these are my weaknesses, I'm lazy or I don't get up on time. I do get up on time, but I just sit on social media for 2 hours even without getting out of the bed. I know everyone has to, let's say, do a fair share of work in the house because a lot of us don't have full-time servants now, but I'm lazy or I'm indisciplined, or because you don't have to tell anyone what you are or your bad points. Only you have to understand that the moment you put it on paper, you will be able to figure out solutions. So you start saying time span. I'm going to study only 25 minutes and only this much. I will give myself 10 minutes on social media after that. I will then study 30 minutes of this and I will give myself 20 minutes of. If you compartmentalize everything, you will be able to spend more time on your social media or more time doing things that you want as opposed to what you have to do, because academics is a very important part of engineering. You guys are technology friendly, so you guys have options. You've got 32 apps that you've downloaded. You've got 65 portals that you can go to and do stuff with. You've been able to bring 300 apps which give you books and movies and music to watch. You've got everything here. I mean, Mr. Steve Jobs decided that he would give you a sort of, my brother is the head of Apple, so I know he's given you this so that any book you want in the world is at your fingertips, any photograph that you want, any movie you want, any piece of music you want, your office, your school, your education, your home, everything is on one thing. So actually you guys have it easy. If you don't want to be distracted and you're coming closer and closer to studying, then switch your smartphone off, sit with only your laptop and start studying. It's like getting rid of alcohol or drugs. It's called cold turkey. It takes 6 days. It will not take less. It will not take more. But 6 days without, if you are able to go through, you will have broken that. And if you want to be successful, you must control everything. Everything must not control you. But being distracted is common and it's normal. And if you were not getting distracted, you would be abnormal. Let's be honest. I must be honest with you. When we were kids in the 12th standard, every time we had to study, the only thing we thought of was sex. You know, you guys don't, because you have access to sex and God knows what all on your phone. We used to, but it was a distraction. Music was a distraction. Cinema was a distraction. I did not realize that cinema being a distraction would finally become a career.
But that time it was a distraction.
By that time it was a distraction. You know how parents are, holidays are over, stop seeing movies. The first thing they did was stop seeing movies. For some reason, movies was enemy number one to students at that point. Now you've got movies on your phone, you've got movies on your television, you've got movies on your desktop, on your laptop, in the cinemas. You've got screens surrounding you. When you go inside a mall, you're surrounded by screens. So nobody takes a movie as being major distraction anymore. But in our days, it was a highlight. You'd dress up, you'd have to go and stand in a line, you'd have to buy a ticket, you'd go in, the curtain would open, you'd buy popcorn. It was a very big thing. It was an event. Now it's just another film. But yes, if you are distracted, make a list of it, make a note of it, figure out why you are distracted. Either it's because you don't like what you're studying, or it's because you like doing the other thing better. And then compartmentalize your life, or just wake up 2 hours earlier before anybody else is on social media. You are technologically friendly. Finish your quota of studying when everyone is asleep, from 5 to 10, 5 hours a day, solid. Everyone's asleep. You've got the internet really going because nobody else is using it. Do 5 hours a day. And then from 10 in the afternoon to 10 in the night, party. I mean, there are ways of finding solutions, but you must not try to find a solution for a toothache when you have a headache.
Yeah. So, Mr. Vaswani, you said that, once you write down your strength, your weakness, your problem when you're pressing, say I have a problem. See, I have a question from from Aditya coming through. He says, how do I improve a weak subject? If I have identified this as my problem, that I'm weak at this subject. Now, if I was going to school, I'd go to my teacher, seek help, sit with my friends, work on a problem together. All those things aren't happening. So if I have identified this as a problem, how do I fix it on my own?
So there are 3 things, and I did this myself. I didn't know how to use a laptop 4 months ago. And when I made rough book with Akash Chaudhary of Akash Institutes, the first thing I told him is I'm technologically challenged. I can't do anything. He understood. But in my days, there were people who do the stuff for you. There was always a secretary at my age, and there was always somebody who could do the typing of, make the PowerPoint, etc. Now I had to do everything on myself, and I was very weak. I stopped my ego. I called my students and I said, buddies, you all have to help me. I don't know how to do this. At the risk of being laughed at, I went to people who knew. I picked up the phone, I reached out, I talked to them. So Aditya, I'm sure that if you are weak at a subject, there is no teacher on earth whom you will call who will not want to answer your questions on the phone. That's the first thing. The second thing, I realized that everything in the universe has what we call a YouTube tutorial attached to it. Everything has a YouTube tutorial attached to it. Go to YouTube, check out those tutorials and help yourself. The third is actually make a list of those things that are weak and wait patiently if it can't be done on the phone or on YouTube or from a friend on the phone. And then when things are normal, 2 months, 3 months from now, go and get those problems solved then. But the rest of the syllabus, the rest of the curriculum, the rest of the things you master now. So that at that point you can only focus on your weaknesses. The strengths have been covered. So these are 3 solutions I can give you offhand. Every bit of research in the universe is available on Google. So a lot of times you can strengthen your weaknesses by slowly Googling. And as you Google and you get the notes, if you still don't understand, ask for help, there are ways of doing it. It's not easy. It's not easy. I'm still struggling. I still don't know how to share something on a share screen because there's nothing on the laptop to share. And I don't know how to put things from my phone onto my laptop yet. So I'm also struggling. All of us are. But the first thing to realize is that struggling is fine. The fact that you have identified a weak subject as a weak subject is a sign of strength. Now take it into perspective. If it's too difficult, leave it, finish everything else, and then focus on this. If there are teachers, guides, mentors who are available on the phone, pick up the phone and talk to them. And try your best with YouTube tutorials and Google.
All right. Mr. Vaswani, we've got another question coming in from Ayushman Nayak. He says, how to manage the tensions of the exams? The exams are still looming large over our head. They're not happening now. They will happen sometime later. And you're like, let's just get over with it. But it's not getting over. You're still having to study, even though you've done your studies. You're doing it over and over again. And the tension just keeps building up. How does one cope with this?
How lucky he is. There is 1 million people who are sitting at home who don't know whether they will get sacked from their jobs or not. They don't know whether their salaries are going to be cut or not. What kind of tension is it when you don't know whether you'll be able to pay your rent next month, whether you'll be able to buy food for your family next month, whether you'll be out of a job and there will be no new jobs, whether your salary will be cut and you can't, sorry, we can't afford. So there are real problems which your parents are facing and people are facing, and what you're facing is an equal real problem. This stress or this tension of not knowing. That's why I said, if something happens and your mother is sick, it'll be a sad thing. It's a tragedy. It's grief. It's not fear and insecurity. Fear comes when you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen. This is the main thing. The simple solution for you, because this has nothing to do with money or losing your job, is to set your own deadline. As far as you are concerned, you think that your examination is going to be on the 15th of July. Finished. Now, whether it happens on the 16th of July or the 16th of August, you put your own timeline and deadline to it. And you work towards that deadline. And you completely prepare yourself towards that deadline that you should have and be word perfect. Now,
then stop stressing about it. Once you've done your bit,
because you've done it 4 times, you revised. Of course, you can keep on revising. You can keep on adding to your knowledge every day. But after the 15th of July, and I'm just giving this as a date, whether you do it on the 15th of August, the exam, or they do it on the 15th of September, you're not stressed because you're prepared. When there are 20 people coming home for a party, the housewife thinks, my God, my husband has not told me who's vegetarian, who's not vegetarian. He hasn't told me whether 5 people are coming or 30 people are coming. The sensible housewife will equally prepare for both. Make sure she's ready by 7 o'clock. Half the things are in the micro ready to heat. Half the things are in the fridge ready to take out and fry. Half the things like salads are already chilling and she's ready by 6:30. Now, whether they come at 7:30 or 8:30 or 9:30, she's prepared. The key to insecurity is preparedness. The key to fear and knowledge is knowledge, and lack of security is knowledge. You prepare. You decide that this is my deadline. So if you think that the examinations are going to happen in August, for example, they could be 5th August, 10th August, or 5th. You don't know. You think 25th July is your date. Khadam. And you go towards your own date and you lock it. It's not very easy because agar delay ho raha hai to padhu kyun? So you see, it finally comes down to us being tough with ourselves.
Our own selves, yes.
But one thing is there. It is far easier for you to be tough with yourself now, all of you. It is far easier for you to be prepared now than to allow life to hit you with a blow. You won't even know what hit you because you were not prepared. So all of you as young adults have to realize that you have to be prepared for the worst now.
Mm.
Make that list and say, this is the worst that could happen. This could be the best. Everything that you do now is to prepare not just for this one exam, but to
But
prepare
for
for the
life.
future. You're going to be in a job and there's going to be politics and you don't know whether you're going to be sacked or not. Who knows what you're going to be going through in life? If a small thing like, I don't know when the exam is, so I'm stressed, is going to stress you out, then you get rid of the stress and start preparing to be strong. And I tell you, create your own deadline and work. What is the big issue?
Mr. Vaswani, we are also getting a few questions which is somewhat similar. And since you have such a wide experience, perhaps you're in a good place to answer. Saransh is asking, is acting a good career in the light of your experience? And Rajni Agarwal is also asking, I'm confused about my career. Which career should I choose? Now, given where we are and what the future looks like, there's going to be more automation, more mechanization, some kind of jobs will become absolutely obsolete. What do you think will be the skills that people will want in the future? And what would be careers that people could choose now so that what you said, you'll have real problems when you have jobs. Some of those problems will be lesser.
I think we must understand one thing very clearly. In the future, anything that can be automated, robotized, or computerized is going to be automated, robotized, and computerized. In my days, 20 years ago, the biggest job was being a CA because that CA controlled your life, and he and his team would work till 3 o'clock in the morning until the 31st of March to file your returns on time. And then there'd be a dozen trips to the income tax office, etc., etc. Today, the government has made a simple online structure and
Mm.
you don't need a CA anymore. You can do it yourself. A lot of jobs or a lot of careers that we thought were very big and very important careers 20 years ago are on their way to becoming
Obsolete.
obsolete. Now, as far as I am concerned, there will be certain careers that will never be obsolete. So when we talk about engineering, form and shape will change. Engineering is something that will never, all our life, we're going to need bridges. All our life, buildings are going to be built. All our lives, we are going to be building.
Mm.
So if you don't look at engineering as a profession which is technical, but if you look at engineering as a profession which is
Creative.
creative, then you will find that there is magic and it will never get obsolete. It's the same with medicine. Medicine, being a doctor, is one of the most blessed things on God's earth. And as long as there are human beings, they're going to fall sick and they're going to need doctors. The shape of medicine will change. Today, my nephew in America is doing micro neurosurgery, whatever that means, but he's doing it rather well. But again, those who are fascinated by medicine are never get into a career which you think is going to merely be a job that puts food on the table. That doesn't exist. Correct? But if I'm talking about careers which are creative, then I must tell you that what can be automized and what can be computerized and robotized is going to happen. One thing they can't robotize or computerize or automate is your own brain
And imagination.
and imagination and your own creativity. And the entire brain is not mappable. I mean, with due respect, today, no matter what you do, if you are in a creative profession, they are never going to be able to take your profession away from you. They're never going to be saying, now we've got a computer that's going to handle these 20 jobs, so these 20 jobs are out, because you're in a profession that the computer cannot replace. And I must tell you the top of the line jobs within films, etc. And I'm now going out of the box and telling you these are the big careers in the next 5 years.
Mm.
Within the film industry today, within the film industry, we are paying makeup people 2 lakh rupees per day to do faces. No computer can replace a creative makeup man who knows to see your face, hide the blemishes, make you look good. See Rekha before makeup or see Sushmita Sen before makeup or see Kajol before makeup and see them after makeup. You will not recognize. It's an art and a skill and it requires heavy skill sets and qualification. 2 lakh rupees a day is not a small income to have. Hairdressers are being paid 75,000 rupees a day. Dancers, and I'm not talking about Shamak Dawa who takes 1 crore rupees to do the Filmfare Awards. I'm talking about group dancers, those who dance behind the hero and you don't even know their names or their faces. They're just there in the group doing the PT exercises behind the main leads. 12,000 rupees a day. That's about 36 lakhs, give or take, per annum. Because these are not replaceable by robots and automations, quite frankly. Chef, being a cook, is irreplaceable today. Roti, kapda, makan, entertainment, education. Medicine and engineering I already said, but I consider that part of creative. These are never going to go away in life. They cannot. They will change form. We may not. Like, for example, in the old days, we used to do black and white cinema, then we had color, then we had cinema scope, then we had 70 then we had 4-track stereophonic sound, then we had Dolby digital sound, then we had IMAX, then we had 3D, now we have 4DX, IMAX, Dolby. It keeps on changing with technology, but the essence of cinema is storytelling, which is why you can go there and see Avengers on the IMAX screen, and you can sit at home and you can watch The Crown or Game of Thrones on your phone or your laptop, and you're equally enthralled by both. Storytelling will never die. So, as far as I'm concerned, those are the professions that will not die. And acting, no. Let me put it to you this way. Acting is not a career. Acting is not what you get paid for. It doesn't matter how good or how bad an actor you are, that is not what you get paid for. Half the country loved Shah Rukh Khan and Devdas. Half the country hated Shah Rukh Khan and Devdas because he was not playing Raj, Rohit, Ravi, whatever. So I don't understand whether that was a good performance or that was a bad performance, because good and bad are subjective words. But I did understand that it was a profitable performance because I saw the balance sheet of the film. Your job as an actor in films, mind you, is not to give a good performance or a bad performance, because we don't understand that. It is to give a profitable performance. So if you want to be an actor and if you do not understand how many cinemas there are, what is the GST on a ticket, how the projectionist gets paid his salary, how the film is made, how it is marketed, how it is sold, how is it distributed. If you do not understand the business and the numbers and the economics of cinema, then you will be at the mercy of everyone. You will just act, and half the world will say you will give a great performance, and half the world will say you gave a bad performance, and you will flow. The answer to that is again and again, knowledge.
Profitable.
Yes, because if you are sitting down and you're sitting with a producer, Aditya Chopra, it may be me, and you're able to talk with them about their heritage, about cinema, about the films you've seen, then if you can talk to them, you can work with them. If you're sitting with a distributor and you don't know how many cinemas there are in the country, you don't know the names of the 4 major multiplexes chains, you don't know. See, it comes down to I don't know. So if one wants to really be in films as an actor, director, producer, makeup man, head, it doesn't matter. Your first starting point is I want to do this because there's a passion. Check yourself. If the passion hasn't translated into knowledge, it's not really passion. There is passion, but I didn't know I needed the knowledge. Start getting the knowledge. No problem at all. Once you have the knowledge, you have to translate that knowledge into qualification. And this is correct for every profession in the earth. No amount of talent will be substitutable by qualification. Your qualification teaches you discipline. Your qualification allows you to strategize. Your qualification allows you to plan. So passion translates into knowledge. Knowledge translates into strategy because you have control over the situation, which translates into power, which translates into success. I didn't create the rules, the universe did. But the starting point has to be knowledge. And when you then go to a proper media school and learn and understand and qualify yourself, at that point, you are ready to talk to industry and get into industry as an apprentice to a producer, to a director, to a line producer, to a makeup artist. And when you are inside the industry, you're seeing it from the inside, learning the ropes, building your contact, building your networks. At the same time, you're building your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, you're getting connected. And at some point when you are ready, then there will be a career. Until today, I know a lot of talented people who are starving in the gutters of Andheri in Bombay because they're not getting breaks. But I do not know one qualified person whether it's in cinema or media or journalism or medicine. I don't know one qualified person who doesn't have a job. So you have to understand that no matter how much passion you have, if you're not qualified, there's no career. And that is the
Right. Mr. Paswani, peop many kids can be confused. They may know many things. They are more aware than us, but they may not be able to completely pinpoint on what they want to do. Say they have X as a plan. Should they also have a backup plan? Is it important to be, you said multitasking is important, but it's also important to be multi-skilled going ahead? Do you think that's also important?
I think it's a good question, and I think it works because when you are a multitasker, the starting point of your confusion is daddy said be a doctor, so I'm here, or daddy said be an engineer or a lawyer or a chartered accountant or get a government job. So daddy is safe in careers and professions that he knows about. He is completely in deep waters if you say, I want to be a dancer or I want to be a painter or I want to be a musician. He has not bumped into these careers. He doesn't know how to help you. And since he's scared, he doesn't know how to help you. He says, no, these are not professions. These are not careers. You understand? Which doesn't make him right or wrong. It just makes him a caring father because he knows doctors. So if you want to be a doctor, he knows how to help you. He knows engineers. So if you want to be an engineer or a lawyer, he can help you. He can get advice. He can talk to friends. But if you want to be an actor, he doesn't know actors. He's not on bum chums with Salman Khan or Shah Rukh Khan or Amir Khan. So he doesn't know. Correct? The answer to that is you getting that knowledge and being able to talk. And the first thing you have to understand in your confusion is what do you like doing? What do you like doing? So I was counseling a boy last week. The parents came and said, Vivek, we don't know what to do with our son. He's not interested and he's now getting defiant. He's passed his 12th standard and we are really frustrated. So I talked to the boy and I said, hi, Dhruv, what's the problem? He said, I don't mind doing arts provided there's no history. I don't mind doing commerce provided there's no accounts and maths. And I don't mind doing science provided there's no physics or chemistry. And he was very frightened. This is it. So I said, okay, now let's forget about your qualification now. Let's work from the back, which is always the safest way. What do you like doing? Before we decide arts or commerce or science or business or engineering, what do you like doing? What do you like? What makes your eyes light up? Food is a gym, friends, social media. There was nothing. I said, but there has to be something that you like. So he hemmed and hawed for 20 minutes. But I'm a very smart mentor. And finally, he looked down and said, I like girls. He thought I'd be stumped. He thought I'd be completely stumped. 20 minutes of conversation after that, we figured out talent management. We figured out celebrity management. We figured out event management. We figured out glamour photography. We figured out modeling and ramp walking. We figured out handling events for Lakme Fashion Week, etc. We figured out styling. And suddenly he realized that he could be surrounded by girls in all these professions and he'd still be earning a very, 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 very high amount of money and he'd be satisfied. So once he did that, then he grilled me. So I said, well, my friend Atul Kasbekar shoots destination weddings. Do you know how prestigious it is now? Everyone is getting married in Malaysia. No one's getting married in Arya Samaj anymore. Everyone's getting married in Thailand and Bangkok and Malaysia and Sri Lanka and Phuket. Do you know they're charging 2 lakhs and 3 lakh rupees a day to get the wedding photographs now? Per day, and business class tickets for the photographer. Ask me, Atul Kasbekar, who does all this, is my best friend. Food photography for those who are passionate. You know the guy who takes a picture of that McDonald's photograph, which comes on the big hoarding that you see all over Delhi and Gurgaon and Bombay. That guy gets 2 lakh rupees a day. Event management is huge. You charge 10% of an event to handle, service, and manage the event. Big events cost 100 crores and above. Ask Mr. Mukesh Ambani how much his son's wedding cost, his daughter's wedding cost. Ask the Filmfare people how much the Filmfare Awards cost every year. Ask Salman Khan how much every film premiere of his costs, and you suddenly find that you're in professions where you're surrounded by girls because you're comfortable, you like them. It's not lust. It's just a genuine, I like this. And his parents called me up 7 days later and said, Mr. Vaswani, he's on the computer. He's made a list of event management companies, talent management companies. He's made a list of glamour photograph. He's choosing now between 3 careers, all of which he doesn't have to do physics. He doesn't have to do maths. He doesn't have to do
He doesn't
anything.
have to do accountancy.
Doesn't have to do accountancy. He's decided, he's gone online and he's seen which are these courses he can take either online or he can go to an institute and do it for 1 year. And he's already decided mainly between photography and events, but he's thinking that being a glamour photographer is cool because fashion shows pay a lot of money. He's on the road.
Yes, so today there are a lot of options for you to
So
make a living out of what you love.
your confusion comes because you don't know how many professions there are, but the starting point
Has to be something you love.
Yeah, first you have to decide. Again, paper, pencil, sit and make a note. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I love? What do I hate? Sit on paper, and the moment you realize I love cooking, but I never thought I could be a chef or I could be a cook. So I cook cookies in my spare time, or I help my mother in the kitchen. I'm very good with sambar, or I'm very good with butter chicken. You will be surprised how cooking can become a huge profession if you love it. There are so many things. I mean, today, with due respect, you're very good at cleaning the house. I mean, just cleaning the house and being organized about sheets and pillows and bed sheets and cups and saucers. Do you know how much housekeeping at hotels pay to the senior housekeeper? We're talking of careers that give you multi-lakhs a month, provided you understand that this is what I love doing and therefore I enjoy doing it and therefore I can work 18 hours. Your confusion comes in your thinking that what you love is actually a hobby, or it's really bad because it's not really what everyone else thinks is. But the moment you realize that there are careers associated with every single facet, you will move there. I'll give you another example, and very important. There was a cousin of mine, and this is 30 years ago. He used to lie down and sleep and listen to music. So my uncle said, talk to Rishi because he's just lying down and listening to music all the time. So I said, Rishi, there must be more to it. What do you like? He said, I like listening to music. I said, that's fantastic. I can take you to Tips and we'll get you a job in a music company, or I'll take you to Anand Milind. Or he said, listen to me. I like to lie down and listen to music. I don't want to play instruments. I don't want to play. I just want to lie down with my headphones and listen to music. So I didn't know. I mean, at that time I was 18 myself. 1 week later, somebody from the building went to him and said, we are having a college prom and we need a cassette. In those days, there were cassettes. So we need fast songs in the front and then slow songs at the back, etc. He filled it for them. He had all the music in the world. He charged them 200 rupees. It was a fortune. Word spread. He was doing cassettes for college proms. He was doing cassettes for birthday parties. He was doing cassettes for everyone in the building who was having a party. And he was suddenly earning a lot of money. And he would just lie down and press buttons. That's all he would do. He was just listening to the music. One day I went to a party and I saw him there sitting down and, mixing the music because he had bought 2 speakers with the money and he was doing it live. I said, wow, I thought you wanted to lie down. He said, no, it's okay. The beer is free. 6 months later, he had hired 4 people to do the mixing and the mastering and he had bought equipment. He became possibly Bombay's first DJ. And 30 days a month, he was booked by college students and proms and birthday parties and 18th birthday parties, etc., etc. He made a fortune. And it started by him saying, I like listening to music. So don't think it is out of the box. Just think this is what I like doing and there will be a profession, a paying, successful profession attached to it.
Great. That's awesome. If you just have to know what you love and work on that, and you will find a way to make a profession out of it. Vivek, one last question. I still want to understand what are the skills that will work in the future, like creativity. You said, and even I agree, there is no replacement. So if you're creative, that's skill people will like. You may perhaps have to work in teams, so being team player, being empathetic, all these skills will also help. To your mind, what are the other skills that one should be cognizant about? If they're not our strong points, try to make our strong point, try to learn them, or not dismiss them. What do you think are skills and attitudes we need to succeed?
I think today it's very important first to understand that the biggest skill you have is your capacity for hard work. Your capacity of hard work, I know it's not a skill, it's a quality, but it's the most important. Second, and very important, whether we like it or not, in this technical digital age, you have to be computer proficient. You have to basically have skills where you can use your computer, your laptop, you can handle making your PowerPoint presentations, or you can handle Excel. These are today, I think, for these children, very, very basic. The third very important skill, which nowadays they've suddenly realized is a very, very big skill, and there are tutorials all over the place, is something called critical thinking. It is very important to understand what critical thinking is. In fact, if you see the last 1 hour, I have deconstructed and demystified a lot of things so that it becomes simple. It's one facet of critical thinking. So I think if you have a capacity for hard work, you're computer literate and you're up to date with technology, you know your critical thinking and you know how important critical thinking is, and you are very, very good with that, then the rest of it depends on the kind of choices that you've made. But these are very, very important skill sets. So in my opinion, these four things are very, very important. And of course, then depending on what you want to do, there's a whole bunch of other skill sets that you do need to know. And yes, you must prepare yourself to multitask. What you think is a hobby may be your career tomorrow. A lot of husbands who've lost their jobs have suddenly realized that their wives cooking and sending food around the building or daily tiffins for those who are old are making more money than they were doing in their jobs. You know? So you have to be, again, it comes as part of critical thinking where you know exactly what it is and this. And I must say one last thing, stop panicking, stop being confused, stop being difficult with yourself, give yourself a break, you're cool. You're not going through something alone. The whole world is going through it. Your parents are going through it. Their bosses are going through it. The neighbors are going through it. Your relatives are going through it. Everyone on the street is going through it. We are still better off than 90% of the world. So we must accept those as blessings. We must have a firm faith in ourselves. And I pray very much. I'm not very religious, but I'm definitely spiritual. I believe that God sort of helps us if we ask Him. We can't take Him for granted. We can't ring bells and mandirs and, squelching mithai all over the place. But we can directly talk to God and take our spirit. Your de-stressing will also come if you do certain things like yoga, meditation, give yourself some time. And one last thing I must tell you, it saved my life, and it always will be, is reading. The ability to be able to read books, be they fiction, be they non-fiction, be they your textbook, but the ability to make books into your friends is a very, very big asset to have.
Okay. So that adds to your knowledge, and having a good friend at the time of need. Your book could be your best friend. Thank you so much, Vivek, for speaking with us in this webinar and sharing with us your knowledge, your quirky tales, and your experience. I'm sure all the students who have tuned in have picked up a lot from you. And I think the biggest mantra is to be grateful for what you have and not be stressed about small things. Maximum, it is not going to be the end of the world. You will find a way out. Thank you so much, Vivek, for being with us on this webinar.
Yeah. And guys, all of you who are watching and listening, if you like what I said and you want me to come back and talk to you when you have specific questions, there is Payal, there is Anisha, there is Akash, Digital. And I'm sure that there are various ways and means that you can get through to me. I'm Viveck Vaswani on Facebook. I'm Viveck Vaswani on Twitter. I'm Ipsi Bhutar on Instagram. I am available and I am accessible. I have told my students and my faculty at the school where I teach that I'm available 24/7 if you have serious problems, and I am. Okay, so enjoy yourself, stop getting stressed. It's a golden opportunity. The world has not come to an end. Only the kachra is being cleared. Think of it as garbage cleaning. It's going to be a great life once we are through with it. Okay, take care and thank you. Thank you, Anisha.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vaswani. Thank you.